father still? Where do we go from here, my dear? Tell me now. Kid father still.
So many different types. Because Dad was also a school teacher, he taught music. He would often be playing music that he was playing for the kids at school. So he would be teaching stuff about harmony and you know, unity in music, and he'd be using classical music to teach the kids, and they'd have to write an essay about it. So he'd be reading the essays, listening to Bach, or, you know.
I was one of those kids. I was in his class in high school, and he was my conductor in primary school. One of the tasks, I was in my room when he was marking my test. Walking out with like cheese on toast, waiting to get
bringing him cups of tea and things.
But yeah, we had a pretty. Obviously, we had all the classics spinning on Neil Young, Dylan. Dad also played in. He was a wedding singer. He played in a covers band that do Beach Boys and the Beatles and.
Yeah, they did all different kinds of shows. You could sort of book them as the Blues Brothers, and then they'd do all the songs from the Blues Brothers movie, or you could book them as the Beach Boys, and they'd all dress up in Hawaiian shirts and do the Beach Boys. So there was like different aspects of the band. They're called Backbeat, and so we were exposed to a lot of different music, and in a sort of like through the lens of Dad's band. But then, yeah, in terms of what they actually played, it was always different, and Mum was a little bit more into popular music at the time, so she loved like the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, you know, that was playing when we were kids, and that was really cool to hear. So a bit of a mix. I loved, what was the record? Mariah Carey's, I loved Butterfly. It was such a, like, I was really young. I think, you know, Santa gave it to me, you know, and yeah, I just remember, like, couldn't believe her voice, and it was really such a fun record.
For me, I remember, I think Mum gave me $20 to go buy my first CD. It was Jurassic 5, Quality Control. I don't know, I love that record. Again, it's, yeah, I used to skateboard a lot to it, and it was a cool time.
It's your call.
I have a new studio that we've been figuring out the room, and Julia flew up to check it out, and we recorded Cape Forestier, the actual song. It's funny how it works sometimes. One song can be the catalyst. If it's good enough and it feels like it has roots, it'll move out into what will be a record, and that song for us was strong enough to want to have the conversation of potentially starting another record, and it felt right. It felt like the time had come.
Yeah, it's always just a feeling. I think as well, like you said, in 2017, like we never like stopped playing together, you know. It's like we just do our life, and you know, and whatever the feeling is, it's like, oh, we'll work on this, we'll work on that, and we have so many different avenues now. And I think, like Angus said, sometimes it is just this moment where it feels like the right time. We're making music because we love making music. We love writing songs. We love being expressive, and at the end of the day, it's sort of like, it's so nice when people connect with it, and we feel so lucky when we hear about how our music is part of people's lives. But I mean, at the end of the day, we'll keep making music because it's really fun for us, and I don't know, this record just felt, it felt like, I don't know, it sort of just like flowed out in this way, so.
Yeah, you know, I think what's cool about some of the songs on this record is we'd put them away in an old scrapbook, you know, and they'd sat, you know, collecting dust, and they weren't ready to be in the world at that time. And when it came to this record, we pulled a bunch of those old tracks out and gave them a new life. It's cool like that. There's a song called No Boat, No Airplane. That was one of the first songs I ever wrote when I was quite young. It's cool that it stood the test of time in its symbolic manner and the way that I was feeling something at the time that I still feel now, if not more now, because it's so simple. Yeah, it's cool like that.
I guess with Angus, like, there's something really special about like the creative process from the writing of the song all the way through to singing the song together. It is unique in a way. Angus is someone, for me, like, he's been with me my whole life, you know, minus 2 years. And there's a knowing in that time spent that is really fun for creativity. It's like there's this sort of openness and freedom to how we write songs, and we don't feel, I don't know, in any way like hindered. I would say the same for our solo projects, but like there's also something, it's weird, it's like I sort of know where Angus is going with an idea, and there's this nice thing that you don't have to talk about when the, I don't know, when the chorus is going to happen, or it just sort of, everything feels like, yeah, there's this kind of natural flow, and then the actual act of singing together in harmony. I don't know if it's because of our genetics, but our voices when we sing together it feels really nice. Like there's something really locked about that, and we've sung harmonies with lots of people, and yeah, it feels like I've never felt like what it's like to sing with Angus, so can't really do that without him.
Yeah, I think there's also there's a lot of trust, and you can't really deny history with somebody. It's all building blocks to creating this bolstered unity, and I feel we have that when we sing. You know, it sits on this bedrock of life that makes up what we create, and it comes through music.
Yeah, at the end, for sure. I think that, I mean, we're different people, of course, have different preferences, but like, I think we're more similar. I don't know, would you say?
More similar than dissimilar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess depends what you're talking about.
I mean, I guess like probably for us a really like key thing is we have a very similar sense of humour. The same things make us laugh, and I think the way you laugh at the world and what brings joy in that way says a lot about how you, how you see things, I suppose. And yeah, it's funny, I'm just thinking about this now, but you know, when you ask someone who their favourite comedian is, I think it does say a lot about how they see the world.
So you know.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to keep that private.
My favourite comedian's Bill Burr, hands down. Bill Burr is an absolute classic. He's, yeah, I love his style.
With the South Pole from side.
The Sugarcane Mountain, it really is another world unto itself. It's this big, beautiful, old 1970s mansion. Every room has a story. It's like a guitar when you pick up a guitar from a rack, and all the vintage guitars, they all have a story to tell. They'll all say something to you if you listen, and it's the same with Sugarcane Mountain Studios. It's the walls are just dripping in inspiration and us being there making this record, and same with Dope Lemon for the records we've made there. Having that studio has been a really cool thing.
I mean, for us, it's really, really important. It's like a lot of the songs we write whilst we're producing them, you know, so I think maybe in the past it's been really important for us to have people in the space because our skills maybe weren't up to scratch to be able to engineer ourselves or set things up, things like that. Now we're at a place where we're pretty comfortable in a studio environment, and you know, some days when we want to just only be singing, you know, our friend Paul will come in and engineer us, but we really love producing. It's like, it's such a creative space, and I think it is such a big part of the songwriting for us. It's where we choose how a song grows and you know, the dynamics of a song, and yeah, it's extremely creative and fun, and you know, if you've got enough instruments around and a couple of great mics, you can build a track. You know, like Angus said, I think making music doesn't have to be just for people who can afford to be in a really expensive studio. You can have an Apollo Twin, you know, and a SM7 and make a really great track, you know, and so many incredible plugins and sample libraries, and you can hear it happening, you know, kids making, anybody making records from home. It's cool, and half of this record was made at Sugarcane, and the other half was made in hotel rooms, you know, when Dope Lemon were on tour in the US, Angus was doing vocals, I was living in Berlin, and so we'd send back and forwards tracks, and we both have portable studios that we travel with, and so yes, a studio's great, but I just think you can make music anywhere, and producing is a big part of that, I think, you know, but it also was really helpful for us to have some teachers along the way.